HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambee. With Bambee, get access to your own dedicated U.S.-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambee's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambee starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambee can take off your plate. Go to Bambee.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambee.com. Type in Accelerate.
Full send with the driver? Check. Piercing iron through the wind? Check. Low checker, high spinner, flop to a tight pin? Check, check, and check. No matter what shot you need to pull off, there's one ball that's better for them all. The all-new TP5 and 5X from TaylorMade. With a newly redesigned dimple pattern, engineered for more distance, more control around the green, and better stability in the wind, it's the hottest tour ball in golf. So no matter what shot you face, there's one ball that's better for all. The TP5 and 5X from TaylorMade.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business, whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing. Guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast continues to gain recognition as a great resource for business owners, business leaders, sales professionals, and aspiring entrepreneurs. And that is really because of the guests. These are folks who have expertise in particular areas of business. And they join me where we have a conversation and they share their expertise with all of you. That way you can take what you need, get the answers you're looking for, and implement them in your businesses so you can be happier and more successful. Today is no different. My guest today is Ari Rastegar. Ari is known for his specialized expertise in real estate and his contrarian investment strategies. He's considered a leader of the next generation of real estate managers. He founded his first real estate investment firm in 2006 while still in law school. He's been recognized for his specialties in recession-resilient strategies and commercial real estate investments, and is a longtime supporter of charitable organizations like Save the Children and Big Brothers Big Sisters. Thanks so much for joining me today, Ari.
Happy to be here.
Thrilled to have you here. We're going to be talking about connecting our personal lives with our business lives so we can have work-life balance. But I have a huge question that I want to start with. I don't typically start with the really big ones, but I'm going to here because it's been sort of buzzing around in my head. And it goes like this. How can a business owner or business leader determine whether hiring a friend or a family member is a good fit?
I see why you think that's a big question.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's definitely a sensitive topic, but the answer is, just like you'd have to look at it just like any other hire, and that's on the merits. Having a friend or a family member work for you, I've always looked at that as a bonus. So all of, and if you know much about my firm, you'll know that there's a lot of my very close friends and family that work in my firm. My sister-in-law, my wife, works in property management. One of my, childhood friends is our chief of staff. So for us, it's worked very, very well. But the reason I believe it's worked well is because each one of those individuals is highly skilled and highly competent in that job role without being my friend or being my family. So having that extra piece just heightens the experience and, really solidifies the culture that we've worked, very hard to cultivate at Rastegar, which is this familial experience, whether it's directly with our end user clients at the real estate level, whether it's with our investors. But that's the main point for us is the requisite level competency to effectively execute those jobs.
Yeah, excuse me. I love that answer, and I really appreciate that because I think too many times people think it's going to be great and it's going to be a lot of fun, and then it actually works against work-life balance when it isn't a good fit because it just creates all sorts of stress and anxiety and bad relationships if you don't hire for merit. If you hire for relationship.
I'm going to kind of, step in for a second and challenge this notion of work-life balance for us.
Great.
There is never going to be work-life balance as an entrepreneur. And quite frankly, to achieve anything of massive success, whether it's going to be athletics, whether it's education, there is going to be specialty and a massive teetering towards one thing. I'll give you an example. If you have the sun is over your head on a hot sunny day in Texas, and you have a couple sticks together and a few shreds of paper, you're not going to catch the thing on fire. What's going to make it catch on fire is taking a magnifying glass and focusing those rays of the sun in to a focal point that would cause a tremendous amount of heat that can then start a fire. Entrepreneurship and business is no different. If you are going to become a professional or become a licensed individual in any vocation, you decide to become a doctor, as an example, what you're really saying is, I'm not going to be an accountant, I'm not going to be a lawyer, I'm not going to be 1,000 other things, I'm going to be this one thing. So by doing that, it takes a tremendous amount of focus and saying no to a tremendous other amount of things that take you off kilter to be wildly focused into one thing. The jack of all trades is the master of none. So I think that the challenge or the opportunity is not to create the balance. It's to be able to teeter to one direction of the spectrum dramatically and have the ability, the strength, and the agility to pull yourself back to the other side of the spectrum and be able to play within that spectrum and create that dance, so to speak. To me, that's where the magic happens, because at balance or at homeostasis, nothing of tremendous value ever happens.
That's really interesting. I totally agree with you that balance is not really a thing. I've heard people say it's more like harmony, that you're where you should be when you should be there. And
harmony is beautiful.
Pardon me?
Harmony is a beautiful word. That's a beautiful, beautiful word, to describe it. And, if you look at even an orchestra and you have all these different instruments playing, at these different notes and these different speeds and tempos, it appears to be chaotic, but once you hit, that syncopated beat and you find that harmony, all of a sudden you have this profound amount of energy, this profound amount of grace that occurs within what is seemingly chaos, which is what the job of an entrepreneur actually is, which is managing chaos. I read, many years ago, a great definition of entrepreneurship, which is, one that jumps off the side of a mountain and builds a plane on the way down.
Yeah. So true. I'm feeling that, actually. Okay. So if someone is really thinking about hiring family or friends, can you give us an idea of what some of the qualities are that they should look for in someone to make sure that they're going to provide value? I mean,
Absolutely.
And I guess I'm curious, beyond the thing they're going to do.
Absolutely. I mean, it all revolves around trust. Because you find that there's many of our friends or family that when we're in a stressful situation, they're the last people that we want to tell what's going on because, even, out of love, sometimes love can be pretty sharp daggers. So it's about being able to have the trust with those individuals that when the inevitable stressful situations arise, they can be, a source of solution, and being able to have, beyond just the simple workmanship, right? Because a lot of times you're working and you're going through things, and sometimes the impetus is to keep it to yourself, and shelter that burden yourself, whether it's in a department, whether it's as a CEO, but having that unbelievable trust with those folks. That, to me, is really the X factor, and even more how well they know you. For example, my chief of staff, Major Miller, we've been friends for, I want to say almost 25 years, and he knows by a simple, look on my face from 50 yards away of whether or not that's the right time to, have a certain discussion, and has the discernment to know when to schedule meetings, or if, a certain meeting takes priority over another one is really powerful. Same, my sister-in-law, Kim Langers, who's our VP of Operations at Rastegar, she has that same ability. She can very easily in different situations be able to speak on my behalf, knowing by 99% what I'm going to say or how I'll feel about a certain situation. And by having those intangibles, productivity skyrockets. And I think that, that's the main crux. And beyond that, it's integrity, which again falls under the merits of any type of hiring. But when people really know you and they really understand you, it's incredible how much productivity can exist.
Okay. I think that is great, and tremendously valuable. And would you say that differentiates them from just the average high-level employee that you would hire?
Well, there's nothing average about anybody that we hire. Everybody that works in our firm are spectacularly brilliant, not only from a cognitive standpoint, but from an emotional intelligence standpoint, from an empathy standpoint. But I will say just the sheer experience that some of the family members or the people that I mentioned have about me as a CEO, or of other members of the family that work in the business, that's an intangible that comes from experience per se. And yes, that puts them in a different area or a different level in some regard, simply because they know me. And when I started this firm, it was literally just me, doing the legal work, underwriting the deals, raising the capital. And now that the firm has iterated and We have, over 9 figures of assets. It's a living, breathing machine. So any edge that we can have, any way that we can, help grow is highly valuable. But I think they come into play in an interesting way because they've known me for so long that they can help educate the corporate culture. So with new hires, new folks coming in, they can speak to, these different concepts or tell stories of, things that have happened in the past, whether personal or business, because, I really dislike profoundly when people say that, it's just business. This is just business. To me, there's nothing more personal than business. People, you spend more time with your colleagues at work than you do with your family. So to us, we take a, as I said, a very familial approach. So our colleagues, that we work with, we're very close with. We have a tremendous amount of respect for, tremendous amount of love, and and we feel they feel the same about each other. So yeah, it's very much an intangible that's hard to quantify, but when you have it, you can just see the magic.
It's really interesting. And I'm curious, so do you have any high-level employees who are not family or friends?
Oh, of course. No, of course,
Okay.
of course. Absolutely. There's a few strategic people that are in there that are our family and friends at the executive level, but by the vast majority, it's not family or friends. There's just several strategic people at senior level positions that I have long-term relationships with.
Got it. Okay. Now, does it help or hinder, hiring family and friends? Does that help build a cohesive, tight-knit team, or does it make it more challenging?
It's a double-edged sword. So if done wrong, it's profoundly toxic. If done right, it's magic. So, it's very polarizing, okay? So you have to be very gentle with that situation because, the last thing you want to do is have a family member or a friend working in the firm and then, other members of the team think that they get preferential treatment or, those are the types. Everybody in our firm is equal. Everybody knows that. Everyone's judged on the merits, of what they do. And, that's very, very important. So it's something to be taken very lightly. It's more so a stick of dynamite than it is a BB gun. So my advice is if you are not have a high degree of certainty that it would work, and the way that I've, advised folks on this before is, did you ever work together in the past? Like, Major and I have worked together in several different businesses throughout our lives, whether all the way from trading baseball cards in 6th grade, all the way to, our, T-shirt company, getting out of college. And so we know we work well together, and we had from, since we were little kids. So there's proof in that. There's a thesis behind why that type of work would be. Same with, Dustin Mahaffey, who works in our investment sales department. He's a licensed Texas real estate broker. When we were in college, we had several businesses together, where we worked together, and things worked really, really well. So, now him being a part of the firm and, building out his division in investment sales, we had proof that it would work. And so we took a lot of the guessing game out, but, beyond that, I would be, I'd be, kind of leading you astray if I didn't tell you I've had several folks that were friends that kind of, were saying, hey, I'd like to come work with you, and against my better judgment, they came and did some work for us, and it was a complete disaster. So I know what it looks like on the other end of the spectrum as well.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that it sounds like that experience has helped you really identify what works and what doesn't work.
I have learned absolutely nothing from the humble success that we've had. Everything I've learned is from failures, and I assure you, if we've been successful, it's because we have failed more often than our competitors.
That's a great way of saying it. That's terrific. Excuse me. Okay, I have to take a quick sponsor break, and then I have some more questions for you. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're hearing us on right now. Some examples of books you can listen to on Audible.com are Everyone Deserves a Great Manager, interesting, that's one of them, by Scott Miller, and The Ultimate Sale by Justin Goodbread. So visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Excuse me. Explore the books that are of interest to you and receive one free audiobook when you sign up for the trial. Today we're speaking with Ari Rastegar about how mixing business with personal leads to, we'll call it work-life harmony. Okay. So talk to me some about diversity, because I'm wondering if that weight, has any sort of weight when it comes to the hiring process in your estimation.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's, I think that's something that we really, really pride ourselves on, because, look, in the investment business, you're always looking for an edge, and you have to be able to kind of see around the corner, so to speak. And, the best way to do that in our estimation is have, folks that have different vantage points, that, come from different backgrounds, that are different from all the way from socioeconomic backgrounds, different gender roles, and different languages, different nationalities. And that has been something that we have embraced tremendously. Look, my father is Iranian. My mother is German. My wife's mother is from Guatemala. Her father's from Spain. My children are the United Nations. So we're, our DNA is highly diverse. I speak 3 languages.
Wow.
My kids are bilingual. And so when you look through the firm, we have a large percentage of female executives in our firm, all genders, backgrounds, and we love it. And it brings such a breath of fresh air to conversations, especially in the real estate business, which is typically kind of a good old boy system. And, from that vantage point, things are done in a certain way for a certain reason. And I'd like to believe we've been able to think differently and take things from a different vantage point and create value in ways that other folks haven't, because we bring a different perspective. We bring an inclusive perspective, and we bring a certain level of unity that we don't see as often as we'd like.
Yeah, I think that's terrific. Okay, now let's sort of pull on this and talk some about how or why you think, or how you think, hiring a family or a family member or a friend can help, an entrepreneur or an executive really divide their time between work and personal in a more effective way.
Look, I think there's a couple key examples that will illustrate the level of productivity. So, you see, we talk about this work-life balance. You say, on Sunday, I'm going to get together with my friends. I'm going to go watch the game. Things that, that normal people do, as they should do. Well, for me, if I'm going out to a dinner that's social, or if I'm doing any of those, types of things, chances are I'm doing it with the people that are also in my office, because they're also the closest people to me. So, imagine if you're having a social dinner on a Friday night, The people that I mentioned to you before, 9 times out of 10 are the ones that are there, or some of our investors that are with us that are also some of my dearest friends. So you have a moment where you're kind of maybe talking business and saying, oh, this, that, and the other, and then you're back to talking about social things or what movie you're going to go see later. So that little moment where you might look over, where I might look over at Major and say, hey, did you email Jane back? It's like, oh, yeah, I spoke with her. We're all good there. That one moment that you turn back and you're like, oh, so we're going to go see XYZ movie tonight. That little moment of productivity compounded over, 50 dinners, over 50 outings, leads to something that is really remarkable. And, a quote that I really love that's attributed to Einstein, and actually recently I actually read that some folks disagree with whether or not it was attributed to Einstein, but that's neither here nor there, said that, the most powerful force in the universe is gravity and compound interest. And I think that also goes along with compounding the returns of productive moments. And, that's what you're looking to do, and that's a way to find an edge by mixing those social and those business interactions and finding a place of enjoyment and reprieve and, harmony, as you said, but also mixing in those elements of business that would not have been there but for the relationships you have with these folks.
So it feels to me like that could be a little dangerous. That if there aren't guardrails on that. Well, yeah, I was trying to be gentle about that. How do you safeguard against it becoming all business all the time?
Well, I'll just be honest with you. Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm all business all the time. And, I don't take it. People say, oh, this is my business, this is my personal. My business is my life. This is my life. If you say, oh, how many hours do you work a week? If you're asking me how many hours I work a week, we don't have that much in common. Every moment is about that because my work is my life. It's what I contribute. It's something that, Kelly and I are leaving for our children. Our kids come and spend time in the office after school. They walk the properties with us. This is our life. And this is how we create value for ourselves personally and business. And, the profit, so to speak, that we generate is just a result or, really a byproduct, of the work that we do to contribute. This is how our life has meaning. And I don't separate the two.
Okay. That's interesting. I think, for me, I feel like there are times when there is value in detaching from the business and focusing on other things because it sort of like opens up the avenues of thought that for some people, if they're so in it all the time, they sort of get numb to being able to see what's working and what isn't working and come up with ideas, brainstorm.
Let me clarify. Let me
Sure.
clarify what I mean by that. Let me
Right.
give you a little more color. So I'm a large proponent of transcendental meditation. Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm a health fanatic. They probably tell you I'm a fanatic in general. So I definitely have a tendency towards extremism, which again is a blessing and a curse. But when I talk about business, I'm not necessarily talking about, looking at my P&L and going and buying new properties and going things. Like, I am my business myself. I am my asset as a human being. So, that necessitates how I eat, what vitamins that I take, going to the gym, going on these meditation retreats, which I like to do, certainly once a quarter, if not more frequently, in an effort to find that equanimity, to go back and find how I will contribute more. But all in all, to me, by marrying those things together, I find those moments to be ways that I can be more productive with work. If I'm going to the gym, at 6 o'clock in the morning, or going in the hyperbaric chambers, or all the things that I do from a health and wellness standpoint, it's a way to have more vitality and more equanimity to execute more in the business. So it's not that I'm not doing all the things that you might be referring to, but I'm doing them from a purposeful, intentional perspective to be more productive in this part of my life.
Okay, I see. So for you, you just connect all of those things.
Right.
Excuse me.
It's a better way to put it. They're all connected to me towards what my life is, and they're not. I don't compartmentalize them, if that makes sense. And and it's not something I'm recommending for other folks necessarily, but I found for me and for my family and our group, our team, it's something that has worked for us. And I think finding what vibe works for you is also very important, and being true to your own authenticity. And for me, knowing myself, being an Aries baby, being a fire sign, being one that edges towards extremism, I needed to find a way to have a healthy way of utilizing those personality traits.
Right. I actually think it's a great perspective, and I appreciate you explaining it a little bit further, because I agree. We are we bring all of ourselves to our business, which I feel is what you're saying, and so making sure that we are caring for every aspect of our being and giving everything the attention that it needs only makes us better at conducting business and being the best we can be and providing the best value to our clients and our employees and all of that.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, for me, this became, starkly relevant in my early 30s when I just started to not feel so good, and I was working crazy hours, and it kind of forced me to think deeper about my health. Our daughter was just born, and I just felt run down, and I'd come home as my first two children started to grow up, and now I'm the proud father of three children. I didn't have enough for them when I came home. I was working long hours, and I'd get there, and I'd just be drained. I was like, this doesn't work. I'm giving my best hours, quote, to my business, which is, wildly important to us and our family and all the people that we serve, but I needed to have that vitality to give to our kids and give to my wife and give to our family. And by taking care of my health and doing the things that you alluded to, the meditation, detaching to some effect, it gave me a massive amount of invigoration to still give my best self.
Yeah, to everything, right?
Everything.
That's really, the harmony and the balance is really.
That's right. And
that's where it is.
And how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I'm a very large proponent of that. And, if you can't be trusted with small tasks, you certainly can't be trusted with large tasks. And, those that, take small tasks seriously, inevitably will be granted the privilege to take on large tasks. And I think, all of that is cohesive, and it's all interconnected. And I very much believe in the collective nature of how these things iterate.
Yeah, that's great. So you said something earlier that got me thinking about this question, and I can't remember what it was, but it doesn't matter because the question's still relevant. What advice would you give to someone who's listening who has a family member or a friend who's working for them but isn't really measuring up, like they're not really performing at the level that the company needs?
That person needs to find another job.
Yeah.
And
how do you do that and still maintain the relationship?
Look, if the relationship is strong, it'll last. And I'll tell you, it's not just about that person. You have to be very aware of the rest of your staff, because that, by treating someone that's not leveling up, it's a disservice to the rest of your employees, and it's highly toxic, and it creates the wrong atmosphere. All employees need to know that they have an equal level of treatment. and they are respected in the same way. So the first thing I told you was you have to measure up on the merits, period. If you can't measure up on the merits, it's not going to work. And as soon as it's not, now you're giving preferential treatment, and what you're saying to the rest of the employees is highly toxic. And, it needs to be dealt with. If you're going to have to let them go, it should be dealt with just like you would let anybody else go, with the same level of dignity, with the same level of kindness and transparency, explaining on the merits why it's not a fit. And if the relationship on a personal level is as strong as you thought it was, not only would it not impact it in a negative way, they'd probably come away respecting you profoundly more.
That's terrific. Thank you so much for that. I completely agree with that, and really wish more people saw it that way, because they'd just be so much happier and their business would be.
I assure you the only reason I see it that way is because I've done it wrong so many times. So.
Well, as we say, this is how we grow. Oh my gosh, this is great. So will you tell the listeners, about your business and what you've got going on there?
Sure, yeah. Rastegar Property Company is we're a real estate investment company based out of Austin, Texas. As you mentioned before, we specialize in, what we kind of deem recession-resilient assets, which is, at the moment, in the response to the market, is value-add multifamily, which is effectively older apartment facilities in highly attractive locations, near new developments, that we can go in and, do some renovations, we can fix up, add new amenities, and create value for the tenants. And, we've done this on behalf of public pension funds, family offices, and high net worth individuals. I've been a professional real estate investor for 12 years, and we're having so much fun doing it down in Austin, Texas. And, more than anything about what we're doing, I would urge your listeners to come down to Austin, Texas and experience, the culture and, the vibrancy, the tech, the music of the city that I was born in and love so dearly. And we live there. Our offices are there. My kids are being raised there. And we have a tremendous amount of passion, for the city. And we're really happy to be a part of shaping what the future of the city will be.
That is terrific, and I'm going to be coming to Austin in September.
Well, you have an open invitation not only to our office, and maybe we can sit down and break a little gluten-free bread together.
That would be awesome. I'll keep you posted on what my plans are. Well, I really appreciate it. I think you gave the listeners some really great insight and advice, just so valuable for so many people, whether they're hiring family and friends or not, frankly. A lot of the stuff that the ideas that you gave them and the advice really pertains to any employee. So I thank you so much for that. And listeners, I always like to thank you. You're who we're doing this for, as well as our sponsor, Audible.com. To get a free trial of Audible.com and a free audiobook, please go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth to sign up. As always, continue to prosper and be curious. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Full send with the driver? Check. Piercing iron through the wind? Check. Low checker, high spinner, flop to a tight pin? Check, check, and check. No matter what shot you need to pull off, there's one ball that's better for them all. The all-new TP5 and 5X from TaylorMade. With a newly redesigned dimple pattern, engineered for more distance, more control around the green, and better stability in the wind, it's the hottest tour ball in golf. So no matter what shot you face, there's one ball that's better for all. The TP5 and 5X from TaylorMade.
Are you tired of the same old productivity hacks? Have you read the top 20 books on effectiveness, and yet your workdays and email inbox still causing anxiety, burnout, and even depression? Ready to learn the latest in brain-based modalities, techniques, and technologies to optimize your success and well-being? Welcome to the Focus to Evolve podcast, where we'll illuminate your path to spacious productivity and balanced thriving. Each week, we dive into deeply insightful and immediately impactful methods to help you become highly effective while promoting health, profitability, and well-being. Say goodbye to the trance of busyness and hello to your highest potential. It's time to discover a new way of accelerating your mission, growth, and purpose. Join us on the Focus to Evolve podcast and get ready to live your most joyful, productive, and fulfilling life.